sticks in
What
the
a week one, huh?
dude. That shit was badass.
Like, it started with a amazing game on Thursday. We got a fucking slobber knocker on Monday.
A slobber
We got
knocker.
ups and downs on Sunday. Couldn't ask for more in week one. What was your favorite part of week one?
Um, what? Okay, so like I had all my outcomes of my games were like determined by like at the end of Sunday. The only thing was our game in like the Dynasty League. I was getting my ass whooped. I was getting my fucking ass whooped with my super team. I was like, this is bullshit. And then Waller and Jacobs put up like 55 points combined, and I won by like a point. So
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty cool. But
Yeah, I was looking at that matchup and I was like, oh, that's in the bag.
oh, easy, yeah.
And then I looked at it this morning. I was like,
Bro, I didn't realize because like Jacobs like didn't score, so like I saw Waller getting a target and I was like, okay, like this is encouraging for like my team, but like it's an L, you know what I'm saying? And
I
then
legit overlooked that you even had Jacobs on the squad. I saw Waller and I was like, oh fuck, like
Yeah.
let Waller just have like an okay game because I knew that he was like the X factor for you.
and Jacobs
Not
had
just
two
for you, but, like,
TDs.
just everyone like he's after 19 targets, it was a sealed deal.
Okay, is Waller the title one, right? The rest of the year, because I don't think he is, but I really want him to be, and like I don't know, like
With that volume,
he had 19 fucking targets in his first game, and he dropped like 2 or 3 passes. Like he could have had 40 points
yeah.
versus the Ravens. Like that's an elite secondary.
Yeah, we were touching on this before we started recording. Waller's usage was just obviously through the roof. That like 19 targets was something that we talked about with Tyler Lockett's ridiculous game last year, where that one game propelled his fantasy finish up.
Oh yeah.
How many spots? 15 spots, 20 spots maybe. So Waller getting that kind of usage, you can't expect that to differentiate too much either way going forward. You know that he is the focal point of the offense. Like watching Jacobs, I was so shocked to see him do what he did. He looked so hurt, but was still able to like score 2 touchdowns. Still looked good when he had the ball in his hands. But
Jacobs,
then,
bro.
off the field, it just really boggles my mind. What do you think about Jacobs and his rest of season value? Are you like buying into him after that week one? Is he someone that maybe you want to sell off of that performance?
So okay, so like the thing for me with okay, so like I like it was peak last year and like 2 years ago. I was really into PFF, and I still like really respect them and I enjoy what they do, but Jacob's always graded really highly because this man breaks tackles and
He's got
he does it like better than almost anybody in the league. Like he's up there with like the Nick Chubbs and Derrick Henrys and like breaking tackles, and like I mean he's heavy enough he can carry the workload. The thing with like Jacobs was I thought I was slick in like I don't fucking know what month it was, like April, May, where I was like, oh, you can't draft Jacobs because they have Kenny and Drake, and it's like, okay, like his ceiling is capped theoretically, like he's not gonna catch passes, but like neither does a lot of backs in his range, and he's still gonna get 15 to 20 touches depending on the game script. They're mostly gonna be carries, and they're probably gonna be like he's gonna have weeks where he has like 40 yards, and it's gonna be shit, but he has 2 touchdown upside every single week because I mean.
Yep.
Like they don't have anybody else. I mean, it's Waller and Jacobs. Those are the best 2 players in the offense. They're gonna get the ball. I think you can pretty comfortably rank him as a mid RB2 most weeks, and good matchups. I mean, even higher because this guy, like, if they're facing a team like the Jets or the Giants, like he's going to score that week, almost 100%. I mean, and you can say that with more certainty than most backs. So I warmed up to Jacobs as his ADP slid because like everyone was thinking like my thought, but I mean I'd say I'm a little bit higher on Jacobs season long than I was, just because this puts it back in your mind like this guy can score twice like any game. I mean he's that dude. So
Yeah, after seeing the usage, I, gave him a tick up. But at the same time, I'm like extremely concerned with the way that he was walking off the field.
Yeah.
Like, how long can that really last? Like, I was surprised that they were putting him out there in week 1 when he's walking off like that.
Man
like,
was hobbled.
What is their expectation for the rest of the season? Are they already saying like that Jacobs is going to be done by week 5? Like, he was obviously uncomfortable out there, but yet was still able to push through and make some plays. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt that it was week 1, and it's easy to push through an injury week 1.
Right.
Week 7, week 8, week 9, after 7 weeks of playing on that toe, that is going to be really tough. And so hard for me to say like go out and target him, but like the usage is definitely is a good sign for the here and the now.
And so 2 points, and that was really good. But like for me, so there's pros and cons to having players playing in prime time. Like if Darren Waller had 19 targets at 1 o'clock, you're more likely to maybe make an offer that you could get him because people didn't see him play. But it goes both ways. Like if Josh Jacobs is visibly hobbled and the Josh Jacobs owner sees this and he's like, I don't want an injured running back, you can maybe get him for a little bit cheaper. And the thing for me is, I always take that risk. I always take the guy that's injury prone, hurt, because for me, like I pay to win this week. Like obviously, like I want to win the championship, but you need to get that first. And whenever someone's hurt, right? So like a Will Fuller type, right? I've drafted Will Fuller way too many times because whenever Will Fuller plays, he produces. But whenever Will Fuller doesn't play, you're not playing Will Fuller. You're not getting a 0. You're getting 10, 12 points from their replacement. So I'm always more apt to go, and I was like try to like advocate this, I guess. I'm always the type that would target a guy like Josh Jacobs right now because he is going to go out there and produce while he's here. And when he's not here, who cares? Like, you don't have to play him. So obviously it hurts when your RB2, maybe even your RB1 gets hurt. But if you can get the money night discount, like I was talking about, and you need running backs, I mean, you could do far worse because while he's playing, he's going to produce. And when he's not playing, like you have 6-7 weeks to like figure out a plan until that happens. So,
right. What a great segue into waiver wires, because with that strategy in mind, you could potentially trade for Jacobs if you have a third running back on your roster, because we're assuming that Jacobs will be the second running back.
Yeah.
For you. If you have a third running back on your roster that you feel good about playing week in and week out, if Jacobs is hurt. So like, if you can upgrade your RB2 spot into Jacobs with a solid RB3 behind him, I would do that because you have a better upside in Jacobs compared to whatever you did have, plus the safety behind him when you know that he's probably going to be getting hurt or missing some games because of what he's dealing with already.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. I'm actually really excited to talk about waivers because I have, and like I'll like reference this team a lot because like it's my home league. It's like my like I love it, right? But so my home league got like I probably said this before, but like I don't even care. I'm pissed. Like like in a home league, right? Like we're talking about people that don't watch football, like for the most part. And me, I'm like, oh, like I'm savvy, like I got this shit, like I have a channel for this, right? So like I come in, I'm like, okay, like every year running backs they go ridiculously fast, absurdly fast, and so for the past 3 years I've gotten RB0, and I've gotten second twice in a row. So like, but not a big deal, but like it's worked, it's gotten me there, right? And like it's a good plan because if you're gonna take Miles Sanders at pick 19, which you did in this draft, and David Montgomery at like 24, like I'm gonna take receivers there. So right, and like so I ended up with like a super team, right? But the only thing was ETN was my RB1. He was the only RB that slid of value, right? He gets hurt right away. So I'm literally stuck with Michael Carter and David Johnson as my like backups. And so like I'm scrambling. And I eventually pick up Damian Harris, and then I traded for James Conner. So I'm like, oh, like I'm solid, right? But I didn't get James Conner until like today. So I say all that to say that I'm spending my number one claim on Elijah Moore, and I'm probably gonna regret it. No, on Elijah Mitchell rather, and I'm probably gonna regret it. But that's what I'm doing. I was on Twitter searching Elijah Moore fab for like an hour, and I was like, fuck it. Like, most people recommend not getting him, and I do too. But I mean, if you're in a spot like me where you had ETN and an RB0 build, like I do think like Mosher is out for the year. Sermon is an objectively bad prospect. In a vacuum, Mitchell is a much better prospect than Sermon. Keep that in mind. I mean, like draft capital and everything, like and running backs that matter, like big deal. But in a vacuum, and also Mitchell is kind of a Mostert clone. They have a very similar weight and measurables. So I say all that to say that Mitchell has a chance to lead the best running back system in the NFL, and I'm spending a claim on him, number one claim overall in a 14-team league. So like it's a big deal. I'm not necessarily advocating for it if you have running backs that you need, but if you're in a spot like me or you're in a league where running backs are very dry, you could do far worse.
Counterpoint.
That's my rant.
Week 1. Okay.
Yeah.
What else is out there besides Elijah Mitchell as far as a?
Oh my God.
You know, who are the other pickups? Wide receiver needy team. Maybe they want to go after Tim Patrick.
Or Nelson Aguilar if he's available.
Or Nelson Aguilar. They get to face the Jets this week. He already caught a touchdown
Yeah.
in week 1. He's caught a touchdown in the last 6 games he played?
I mean,
Something like that.
He was kind of a stud.
Regardless, yeah. So if you're not looking at a wide receiver, Elijah Mitchell is easily the number 1 pickup for the week. And it doesn't matter what the rest of the season looks like. What matters is that he's on the 49ers.
Mm-hmm.
You know that they're going to run the ball a lot. And the caveat is Sermon was inactive.
Mm-hmm.
Why was he inactive?
That was wild to me.
Is it though?
Like he sucks, but like you spent like keep going. I'm sorry. I'm gonna rant.
So, it's okay. He was inactive. To me, that tells me Elijah Mitchell was the better back in camp. That Shanahan trusts him more.
And he is. He's better. He is better.
He was, like, if he was worth activating, he would be worth being the starter. Like, or he would have been worth being the backup to Raheem Mostert.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that he was inactive tells me that they're okay with him not being there. They're okay with Elijah Mitchell toting the load. I just, like, there's no reason for me to think that all of a sudden Trey Sermon is going to step in week 2 and just be the starter and carry the load.
Mm-hmm.
If that were the case, he would have been active. So Elijah Mitchell is a safe pickup for me.
Safe.
And with that, he has the most upside of any waiver wire pickup that you can get this week. Season long.
I agree 100%. That the point you made about like I mean, it was just such a surprise to me that he was inactive because I mean the third on capital and right. This guy was going as like RB like 28. Like he was like a legit like.
I was shocked.
Yeah, and like everyone was shocked, but like I can't stress this enough. Like Sermon is not as good as Mitchell. Like he's not.
I've been talking about this all summer.
Yeah, like I have a video that says Elijah Mitchell is better than Trey Sermon, and then then I've been calling Trey Sermon gay Sermon. Like I love gay people, but like I mean it's funny as hell, and name rhymes with it. But like, bro, like he's not better than Elijah Mitchell, and like, wow. And so if your theory is true, which like I'm not saying this, I'm not saying it's not. I'm just like more like boggled than anything. But if you think that Mitchell is like legit here to stay, so Mostert was like the DFS lock this week at almost $6,000, which is not a cheap price tag. He was a fucking lock for cash, GPP, anything because he was gonna go crazy with no Sermon. But Mitchell, so running backs don't matter, right? Mitchell is essentially a Mostert clone. You can lock in Mitchell every single week. If Sermon is gonna be a non-factor like you think, Mitchell is legitimately like an RB1 weekly, every single week. And that is incredible upside for a guy that you're getting in the wire. But then at the same time, it's like third round capital versus sixth round capital. Like it's so hard to figure out what's going on. And it doesn't help that we have like Shanahan, who's like the master of this game of mystery or whatever.
Yep.
But I mean, the upside for Mitchell is definitely there. I mean, like he's DFS lock, but like for your team, like he's like a set and forget it if Sermon is going to be a non-factor. And for me, for my build on my team, that was worth the number one claim. How much VAB would you allocate towards him? I mean, just in general.
If it's week 1, I mean, it depends on league, obviously.
Yeah.
It always does. But in general, 10 to 20% at most.
Yeah.
Just because of the uncertainty with it's totally possible that Sermon walks in and is the lead dog next week.
Mm-hmm.
It's possible. I don't foresee that. What I foresee is Elijah Mitchell getting the first shot.
Mm-hmm.
And if he falters in any kind of way, Sermon will be there to help pick up some of the load, to ensure that the offense continues to run effectively and efficiently. Most importantly, efficiently. And keeping multiple backs in there in Shanahan's system is part of being an effective and efficient offense.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't rule that out entirely. And with that, I don't think that Elijah Mitchell is going to be, what did he get? 19, 20 carries, 18 carries?
16, I think. I don't know. Something like that.
The next guy was below 10.
I think I had like
That's
4.
really hard to envision for San Francisco going forward, where one guy gets that many more carries than the next guy.
But that's the thing though. Like that's anomalous, but it happened to Elijah Mitchell. Like that has to mean something. Cause like in any other scenario, like I thought Deebo Samuel would like at a certain point, like I thought Deebo Samuel would take carries here, but like Mitchell had a like a damn near lion's share. Like I mean something that was
extreme.
Yeah. And that's just so uncommon. But the fact that it happened to Elijah Mitchell, like, it's just shocking to me. Like, the whole scenario is just wild. But, like, that is a really underrated point that it's like, this doesn't happen in San Fran, but it happened to this guy. So, you know?
It did. So it creates a complete unknown. He could totally get 20 carries a game.
Yeah.
Because of how good he looked.
That would be fucking...
Or whatever, or how much Kyle likes him. I feel like that is the kind of underlying factor that nobody can really put their hand on.
Right.
Because we're not in the locker room. But that little factor about how Shanahan feels about the guy is huge.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look at what he did to Ayuk. Everybody is in love with Ayuk, but he said, "Oh, you're not ready to be a pro," out of nowhere. Like
goose egg.
What the fuck, bro?
0 point. So, okay. God, I had a good point. I just brain farted though. Oh no. Okay, so you did predictions, right? Like, if Elijah Mitchell, and like, okay, and I must say, like, this is all unlikely that Mitchell is like the RB1 overall and all that shit. But if Mitchell is getting 16 carries and 3 or 4 targets in a game in that system with his ability, how many more running backs are projected for more points that week than him? Because it's not more than 5. It's probably not. I mean, it's CMC, Cook, Kamara. At that point, it's like Zeke. You know what I'm saying?
Top 10.
He's like a legit, like damn near elite RB1 at that point. Like the upside in the system is so it's incredible, especially for a guy that fast, that explosive. I don't know. I'm just very, very intrigued to see what happens, and I'm willing to stick my neck out and have him on my team if that happens. So, I mean, that's my whole thought on Mitchell. I mean, it's worth it in my opinion.
For sure.
I thought all day about this.
Would be that, like, for me personally, I have a team where I have Nick Chubb and Antonio Gibson as my starting running backs.
Mm-hmm.
I have Mike Davis. I have Damian Harris. I have Javonte Williams and
good-ass team.
Tony Jones Jr. on the bench. And I'm still putting in a claim for Elijah Mitchell.
As you should.
Just to make sure other people don't get him.
Yeah.
It's like, for that fact alone, I will put in at least a 10% waiver claim on Elijah Mitchell because of the unknown surrounding him and the fact that there is nobody else